Hello, welcome to ComSpark. Today we're in Columbus, Ohio. My name is Tracey Puthoff and I'm on the Executive Host Committee for ComSpark and I'll be your guest host today. Today we were meeting Mindi Cunningham, who is the founder and executive coach of Mindi Cunningham LLC. So Mindi, thank you for coming in and meeting with us and giving us some of your insight. First question I have for you, which I think probably everybody wants to know, is what do we need out of leaders today? You're working with all kinds of professionals to help them with their businesses. What are you seeing that we need in our leaders?
Yes, actually, great topic, an important one. I actually think, answering this, I'd like to shift it slightly towards kind of a look forward, because I think there's a lot of materials and content out there about leadership of today. But really, as we kind of approach this next decade, the next 5-10 years in the workforce, it's important to kind of get a view on what are the skills or attributes, characteristics that leaders need to demonstrate into the future. And so I think, going forward, that leaders are going to need to be able to set vision and lead that vision amidst increasingly complex and shifting landscape. The role of a leader today is really tough. But it's going to get even tougher tomorrow with greater complexity. We're going to see increased diversity in the workforce. We're going to be dealing with dynamics like we've never experienced before, with multi-generations coexisting in the workforce, coupled with the big force that we're all anticipating and talking about with the anticipated impacts of automation, artificial intelligence, and AI. So where no one has a crystal ball, I think we can all safely assume that every industry will undergo some level of impact, even though disproportionately felt it will exist. So what does that mean for leaders, right? And the leaders of the future. So for me, I really think about 5 areas or 5 characteristics or capabilities that leaders will need to demonstrate. The first on the list, of course, is adaptability and flexibility, the ability to lead change effectively. The second on the list is leaders will need to be able to demonstrate complex problem solving, creative, innovative solutioning. And not only demonstrating that themselves, but really being able to instill and inspire that from others. So creating the right conditions for others to thrive, which leads me to the third point, which is strong emotional intelligence, which is as much about understanding others as it is about understanding ourselves. So we've all been on the bad side of a leader who is demonstrating poor emotional intelligence, and we know if sustained, that can lead to really damaging outcomes. The fourth one kind of goes without saying. People might think, gosh, that's status quo, but communications. Excellent communications is going to be critical. It's not just about one-way messaging out. It's going to be about the ability to listen and connect with a more diverse workforce, a broader stakeholder group. And then lastly, I'm going to throw this one on the list, which is the notion of conscious leadership. So where it seems like through globalization and digital and social media, the world is getting smaller all the time. And it really means that we are getting more interdependent and interconnected. So I actually think that requires us all to think bigger and more broadly. And so now we really need to think about our actions and our decisions beyond kind of the traditional silo or business function. We need to start really thinking about how does that impact other disciplines, other organizations, functions across the enterprise, but then extrapolating that out even into the community, local economies, the environment, et cetera, the list goes on. So where I think we're all going to look to technology to, revolutionize and transform the way we work, the way we live, it's really going to be up to the leaders and the people to drive the level of value and consciousness.
Wow, that's a lot. That's very impressive in terms of the detail, and I really appreciate that. I think our viewers are going to really, really get a lot out of that. Tell me about what you are doing for the leaders. So how does having a coach, an executive coach like yourself, help these leaders get all 5 of those
Great question. So coaching can be really beneficial, and I think it's very helpful because it creates a very safe environment for leaders to reflect discover and ultimately grow and evolve with the help of a third party facilitating that growth process with the coach. The coach also acts as an objective third party to provide candid feedback and help uncover blind spots that could be serving as impediments or barriers to an individual's success or advancement. One of the biggest benefits of working with a coach is not only is that coach a caring advocate, but also serves as an accountability partner. So where the development process seems pretty straightforward, like you may get some feedback, or you might just self-identify some goals, grab some books, maybe a mentor. We all know the execution is a lot tougher. So it's not just about having the right resources, but also the right support system. And having a coach, working with a coach, can sometimes make all the difference in having that accountability factor as well.
And that's a really good segue into my next question for you, which has to do with making a transition from, say, a corporate type situation to more entrepreneur, because it sounds like some of what you were just saying is part of that, like reflection and those sorts of things that a business coach can help you do. You obviously started your own business. What do you think people should think about with respect to that?
Yes, so for folks, anybody interested in starting their own business, of course, it's exciting, it's energizing, but there's also a lot of challenges that come with it too, right? And there's lots of resources out there on, how to start a business, how to create your business plan, marketing your products or services. But I think something that people don't necessarily talk about as much is preparing mentally. And I think if you can upfront prepare more mentally for the journey that you're about to embark on, it will help you weather those ups and downs as you navigate your business, because they will be there, right? So 3 insights come to mind for me that I've experienced and kind of worked through kind of upfront. The first one being just a mental shift. So no longer was I an individual leader in a company of thousands to tens of thousands or several hundred thousands, right, where I can mobilize resources and people and teams to help me collaborate and get work done, right? Suddenly you're a unit of one. And the reality is, gosh, that can be a little isolating. So being able to kind of assemble your support system early on is really vital. For me, that's a combination of family, loved ones, friends, and people often talk about find your tribe or your community, and that's so important. And I've kind of sought those communities out for myself as well. And I think it's a reminder that you're not alone, and you don't have to go it alone. And in fact, I think you're probably better and more successful by not doing so. And the second one is really getting clear on kind of your strengths and weaknesses, and what are you good at, what are you not so good at, what are your preferences going into it, and how are those strengths and things that you're good at going to help work for you and add value as you build your business. And then the things that perhaps you're not so good at or you don't like to do, how will you solve for those areas? Will you outsource, will you partner, will you find other complementary skills, or will you figure out, hey, this is an area that I need to evolve personally? So that's really important. And the last one is, again, kind of getting back to mindset, but really kind of reframing how you look at failures, missteps, mistakes. They will be there too, right? They will be present. And so I think going into starting a business with the mindset that everything, absolutely everything, is learning. And it's a subtle shift, it's a small word change, but we know that sometimes a small word change in our narrative can make such a big difference, because if we don't have that mindset, then we're kind of caught in the whole, hey, I failed, or I didn't do this, or caught up in what I should have done. And it can be really paralyzing, right? So I think just that subtle shift can be really helpful to look at as, what did I learn from this? What can I take away, and how can I do different?
That's some really good advice. I think I wouldn't have thought of all of those, and I think probably most people wouldn't. So thank you so much for coming in today, and thank you all for listening. If you want more information, please visit comspark.tech.